Okay, we're going to move on to the reports from the updates from the various subgroups. And first of all, I'm going to invite James Tebbett to report for the Hubs and Governance Group. James, as I'm sure you know, is the nominated chair for the Northwest England District. James, may I invite you to give us your update, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Really good to see everyone. It's lovely, not just to see obviously familiar faces and colleagues and those ones getting to know across the Northwest, but sometimes connected with people from previous stages of life or ministry. So lovely to see everyone this morning. So as Peter said, I chair one of the subgroups that reports into the Regional Review Group and with responsibility for what's called Hubs and Governance, which broadly has got two aspects to it. The first is about how we recruit people and populate the various offices and groups and committees and networks that we are going to need to run the new district, merging or combining some of those that are already existing in our existing districts, 5 districts, and bringing them together for the new district. You will have picked up, I hope, that one of the things we're really keen to do is to try to give an equal opportunity to everybody to be involved and to ensure that in the end we have a diversity from all the parts of our communities and the different folk around our region. And that's why we've invited people to express an interest, perhaps for a particular role or roles. And we're ever so grateful for those who've done so and for your patience, because I know a number of you now have been waiting and wondering what's happening. And it's simply processing all of the responses and trying to work out our best way how to go about things. So for those who've already put in expressions of interest, we're now into the next phase, which we're calling safer recruitment, just asking for referees or to ensure where we're at with safeguarding issues. And when we've done that, then hopefully we'll be able to communicate and say it'd be wonderful if we can suggest that you're part of the new district structure in whatever role or roles you may have offered to do so. We didn't have as many folk offering as we might have wanted. And so we're going to be following up with not least those who are holding office in various ways in our existing districts. We do recognise that, of course, this is a moment when some people want to step back, although we hope that enough people can keep going for a little bit longer just so that we can land safely. We don't slip between cup and lip between our present arrangements and the new district arrangements. So we're wanting people to continue. We're also recognising some people may have not realised or were perhaps waiting to be asked. Well, we're asking you now. And indeed, I think we're all beginning to realise that we're getting closer to the transition. And people in groups are thinking, oh gosh, does that include us as well? Yes, please, because in the end, we need the new synod to be able to appoint everybody to the new structures and to the continuing groups that sometimes we've got in our own districts. So we are going to be writing out to those in the present structures in the 5 districts, those who we think will perhaps be considering continuing, and invite you also to complete expressions of interest. From all of this, in the end, what we want to do is to begin to pull the new groups or structure or network together so that people can begin talking to each other and forming relationships and working out how we're going to run particular things in the new district. This might be about property. It might be about employment. It might be about you have got a particular link for your global relations and your world church interest in your context. For example, in Cumbria, we have the Argentina group. It might be about EDI. It might be lots and lots of sorts of things. And if we haven't got them on the list that we put out, then please tell us and encourage us to bring a new group together. So that's one half of what we have been doing. It's about recruiting people to populate the new structures and the new district. The other side is, if you like, the heavier lifting governance stuff about how we might merge 5 charities into one, 5 districts into one. What resolutions do we need to do that to ensure that all of the assets and the responsibilities come together, to ensure that we've got trustees appointed, to ensure that we've actually got the constitution of the synods worked out, for example, with the right numbers of folk elected from all of our circuits around the region. And the synods we're just coming up to. So Bolton and Rochdale this Saturday, and then the other 4 the following Saturday, we'll have a paper with some resolutions, which is trying to move some of these things forward. So we want to apologise especially to Bolton and Rochdale, because there's a bit of reading for you to do and not very long in which to do it. And I'm sorry, it's just been the pressure of everything else and the volume of what we've needed to do to work out what to do and how to do it, that we've not been quite as prompt as we would have wanted to do. So that's what we're also trying to do all the necessary stuff to ensure that when we get to the 1st of September, we can operate as a new district, a single structure, recognised by the Charity Commission and fulfilling the various requirements of both wider national law as well as our own Methodist principles and standing orders, etc. So there may be follow-up questions later, but hopefully that's enough for now, Peter. Thanks ever so much indeed. Thank you.
James, thank you very much indeed. And we all hold you in our prayers and send you our good wishes as you prepare for this new role starting on the 1st of September. At the moment, you're really doing two roles, aren't you? You're the chair of Cumbria and preparing for the new district as well. So we send you our prayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the staffing subgroup now, and I'd like to invite Ruth Jackson to speak on behalf of that group, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm representing the staffing group, which maybe gives away by the title about what we've been doing. We've been very much involved in drawing up of job specifications, etc., descriptions for the various posts that need to be sorted out within the new district. Just a recap, we started off with, of course, our district secretaries, and we did that. We went out for the interview, and we were able to, as you will be probably aware, to appoint the district secretary for ministries and vocation. And that, of course, is Reverend Phil Goff. But we weren't able, unfortunately, at that point to appoint the other district secretary for administration and compliance. And that's gone back out and to be re-advertised. So that was a shame, but hopefully that will work out. The second area, as well as that, the second area we've been looking at is our mission area leads. So we did some work on that. These are, of course, for part-time presbyters, who also will be deputy chairs. And each one of the areas that we have, there are 5 mission areas, 5 posts altogether. And in the mission areas, apart from Greater Manchester Plus, we have 2 part-time roles. So that shortlisting has happened and interviews have taken place, and we wait the outcome of the process for those mission area leads. So that's quite exciting. One of the main tasks that we are now dealing with really is looking at how we transfer the existing employees from all of the other districts into what is now mentioned Stockport district, but will be, of course, the new North, our new district, because we have to do that because they're going to be the employer. So we have to TUPE, which is a new word I learnt, which stands for Transfer of Undertakings, Protection of Employment Regulations. It's a safe way to transfer people through employment. And we are at the moment in process of sorting that out, talking to the actual HR team and getting legal advice from employment solicitors to make sure everything is done correctly. We are in dialogue with the various different employees across the different districts, and letters have been sent out to them, and we're hoping to have a meeting with them, first on Zoom, then a face-to-face meeting to have a conversation and to try and put people at rest if any questions they may have or any anxiety that they might have. But we do anticipate that there will not be any redundancy. There may be a sort of redefining of roles, changing sites, terms of conditions, but it will all be for the betterment of those contracts. So we understand and recognise that for our lay employees, it's quite a stressful time, but I ask that we hold them in our prayers as we negotiate and work with them, as their roles will be different and similar as we go into the new district. So that's a bit of a summary of what we've been up to. Thank you.
Ruth, thank you very much indeed for the very comprehensive overview of what your group is doing. Thank you for all the work that's going on, because some of it is not straightforward, I think, probably, but thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Ruth. I'd like to turn to finance now and ask Gary Naden if he will provide an update, please. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Good evening. The finance subgroup members are the Reverend Cheryl Anderson, who's our chair, and the existing 5 district treasurers. The main items that we've covered to date are review of the 22-23 accounts for each of the districts and a consolidation of their budgets for the current year to provide us with an understanding and a baseline for the first year of the new district, 24-25. We've then gone on to construct a 24-25 budget. We've determined the district assessment for each circuit for 24-25. That's based on each circuit's 23-24 assessment plus 2.3% across the board. In real terms, that's a decrease, as Methodist stipend and our salary inflation will be over 6% at September 24. We've reviewed the DAF, District Advance Fund status of each district, and projected a position through to September 24 that will move into the new district. And similarly, we've reviewed the financial status of our new project for new people projects. And we've reviewed our levels of reserves and agreed an integration provision to cover the various one-off costs of integrating the 5 districts over the first year or so. Since the last equip session a month or so ago, the main items that we've been covering, we've specified and costed the role of TCC to provide financial reporting, controlling and transaction processing services to the Northwest District. And that culminated in confirmation yesterday by the RRG of a 3-year appointment for that important work. A representative of the finance subgroup, myself in fact, now attends the staffing subgroup meetings. We felt because there's a lot of overlap with finance, and as we approach the 31st of August, it was important to provide timely and proactive support to the important staff-related tasks. And then we've taken the initiative to pull together a first draft of a delegation of authority chart, which looks at or governs who can approve what. Quite a bit of it is financial, but it does extend to other areas such as purchasing and HR and other aspects, and that work will now be carried forward. And looking ahead, we are now into the stretch of looking at all the various integration financial processes and tasks. Examples include payroll, expenses policy and claims, pensions, man's costs, leases, direct debits and standing orders, the accounting system that we'll use, the reports that we'll produce, amalgamation of our bank, CFB and TMCP accounts, the need for an audit, and numerous other things. And we'll continue to work closely with other subgroups. I've mentioned staffing, but also in particular the property group, which overlaps significantly into finance. And that's it for my update.
Gary, thank you very much indeed. A lot of work going on in the finance group. Just for those people who may not be familiar with a couple of the things that you mentioned, could you just clarify who TCC are and also what the RRG is? Would you mind doing that, so we can be clear about who TCC are particularly? Thank you.
Yes, TCC stands for Transforming Churches and Communities. It's a charitable organisation that provides consulting around circuit reviews, church closures, church initiatives, and so on, and financial support to districts, 2 districts, 4 circuits at the moment, and 1 church around bookkeeping and reporting. And most of its work is for the Methodist Church, and legal ownership, or the members, are in fact the Manchester and Stockport district. But because of the nature of the work we do, we have that independence by being a separate charity. And there are 6 or 7 employees ranging from full-time to part-time. And then the RRG is the regional review group that all the subgroups report into and are making having the higher level discussions and making the major decisions around setting up and running the new North West England district.
Gary, thank you very much for that clarification. That's very helpful. Thank you. I'd like to move on now to the mission area subgroup and invite Phil Goff to speak for that group, please. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Peter. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be here this evening. The mission area subgroup is made up of representatives from each of our current 5 districts. And from the beginning, its work has been around defining the nature of the mission areas, how many mission areas, their names. So perhaps unsurprisingly, Cumbria, Lancashire, Liverpool Plus and Greater Manchester Plus are our 4 mission areas. We heard from Ruth about the exciting role of mission area lead, deputy chair, and invite your prayers for the remainder of the process there for those who've offered for that role within the mission areas. We're currently gathering the strategic mission plans from each of our 5 districts to go through an exercise of looking where the common threads are and beginning over the next few weeks to put together a draft initial mission plan for the new North West England district. We're looking forward to doing that in conjunction with the mission area leads as they become known, and plan to have a day in the early summer to pour over the mission plans, look at particular mission projects as they're happening in the districts at the moment, and as I say, draw together an initial plan for mission across the North West England district. We appreciate your prayers and your encouragement in this endeavour. Peter, I think that's my report for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you. And we're going to move on to the property subgroup now, and Carolyn Hothersall is going to give us an update. Thank you, Carolyn.
Good evening, everybody. From the property subgroup, it is what it says on the tin. It's all connected with property. And our group is made up of those who are the district property secretaries in each of the 5 districts. We've been working at identifying, first of all the properties that the districts own. So that's the manses, the offices, and any other buildings that are district ones. We're not looking at circuit ones at this point because they will still remain within circuits as we move forwards. We've identified which of the manses will still be required and which will then become available for lease or for sale as we move forward. We've also begun the consideration as to where we might locate a district office or more than one office if that's the case. And obviously geographically it would make sense, wouldn't it, that it's somewhere fairly central or certainly accessible from most parts of the new North West England district. We're also putting together, working with the employment, the employing subgroup, that we're looking at the job description for district property secretaries, because at the moment they are all quite different by the nature of the districts being different. We need to make sure that those all come together and become one. And the next piece of work that we've been working on since our last equip evening is that we are looking at making links with access to the TMCP consents website and making sure that that is flexible and fluent enough for the work that we need to do to be able to get those consents and to get those projects listed and work their way through once we become a bigger district. So that's where we're up to at the moment. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Carolyn, very much for that update. And I'm part of the communications subgroup, and I'm just going to provide a brief update on some of the work that group has been doing. So first of all, we've been working on a logo for the new district, and you'll start to see that in use really very shortly. And that's going to say something about our identity and the fact that 5 districts are coming together into one. The next thing that we're working on at the moment is we're going to produce what we're calling an infographic, which is a visual representation of the structure of the new district. We've heard this evening about hubs and mission areas, and we're going to try and capture that in a visual way to help us all to understand how all these different parts of the new district fit together. And I hope everybody will find that a useful thing. So we'll be publishing that shortly. We've seen a lot of words over the last few months about how the new district is coming together and some of the plans, but we feel it's important to have a visual way of explaining that as well. So we're working on that at the moment. Also, under development is the new district website. We're currently writing content for that at the moment, and the structure and the look of that are currently under design. So that will obviously clearly be a very useful point of contact and reference for people across the new district. And one of the things that you'll see very shortly is if you're attending any of the district synods, Bolton and Rochdale being the first one on Saturday, and then the other 4 the following Saturday, we've produced an update video for the synods about the progress of the different subgroups. It's a slightly expanded version of what we're doing here this evening, and that will be shown at all the district synods. In addition to that, I hope you're seeing releases of information regularly through the district and circuit administrators, and that we will continue doing that as we move towards the launch of the new district. And we're about to launch a Facebook page for those of you who like social media. If you do like social media, when you see it, may I invite you to like the page and also share it. Assume you think it's worth sharing, which I hope you will. We'd very much appreciate that, so we can get the word out about the work that's going on. And finally, just to remind you that if you haven't seen them already, there are a couple of interviews with James Tebbott and Phil Goff, which are available, which give, if you don't know James and Phil, give you a bit of a flavour of who they are as individuals and some of their aspirations for the new North West England district. So I encourage you to look at those if you haven't already seen them. And I think most people will be aware that we have an email address dedicated to communication, which is nwedcommunication@outlook.com. If there's anything you'd like to know or have a general inquiry about what's happening in the district, then please use that and we'll get back to you really very quickly. We monitor that all the time, so we will reply to you quickly. If we don't know the answer to your question, we'll get you an answer. So thank you very much. That's the update from the communication subgroup. And last but not least, I'm going to ask Jill Orrell from the admin and IT group to provide an update. Jill, thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. So we are a new subgroup that's been set up since the last Equip series webinar, looking at the admin and IT requirements for the new district in terms of emails, file storage, and digital phone systems, that sort of thing. And the next area that we're going to be focusing on is IT requirements for the launch event and the first synod in September. So that's the next piece of work we're looking at, and hope to give you some more information on the next webinar. I think that's it at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, very much indeed. So that brings us to the end of our subgroup updates. I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of the work that's going on. The subgroups are reporting to the regional review group every month, so that everybody is aware of what's going on, and we're trying to keep on top of things and make sure that we're on track to be ready for the launch of the new district on the 1st of September.